Okay, thank you all today for joining this webinar. We're going to be touching on avoid data disasters, manage, migrate and archive data with confidence. So in terms of the agenda today, the idea, just as a quick run through, is going to be doing a quick introduction, look at data challenges, some customer experiences through scenarios, Lomans experience, a recap and a Q&A. And presenting today, we have the following: Sean O'Dwyer, AECO Business Manager, myself, Tom Rudge, Go-to-Market Lead, the UK, and Bas Spaan, Information and Digital Manager for Lomans. So for those of you new to the call today who haven't been to a webinar for Symetri, so just a very quick introduction. So Symetri has over 1,000 employees across 7 different countries and over 600 technical experts with a large array of technical ability right the way across the world. In terms of what we do, we work very closely with the likes of end clients, designers, contractors and manufacturers, listening to our customers, understanding their problems and supporting them with the likes of training, support, consulting, IT solutions, software and project delivery. And in order to do this, Symetri partner with a large number of companies, and this includes the likes of Dell, Oculo and Celebri. But a key thing from Symetri is that they develop own solutions such as CQ, Navigate and Silvelia based on real customer problems, listening to customers, understanding what real challenges they're facing out in industry and then providing solutions to best fit. And for today's webinar, we're going to be focusing on 3 areas in particular. That is Symetri's bespoke applications, Navigate and Archive Hub. So the theme of the webinar today is all around data. And as stated, it's in 3 particular areas around migrating data, managing data and archiving data. And for now, I'm going to pass over to Sean just to give a brief introduction for why attend this webinar today.
Thanks very much, Tom. What we're seeing in the market is why we should be presenting this webinar. And we've come across different challenges that are happening across the industry. One in particular being acquisitions. When companies are being acquired, how is the data managed? How is it archived or transitioned or migrated across to each different hubs? When they're tendering for certain projects, how do we provide security or the replies to know that we're confident that the data is being moved across to the end client's hub, or that we are taking from design stage across the construction phase or even into owner-occupier stage the data. Also with recovery time and recovery point objectives through ISO 27001 and other data security policies, we need to have the right solution to meet those challenges. So before we move on, I'd just like to ask a poll just to get an understanding as to who we have within our attendees today. A poll should jump up here now in 2 seconds. Yeah. So this is more or less for us to get an understanding as to what the current client base that we have on this call have regarding ACC Docs, BIM 360, or if the attendees have both. In some cases, they might have none of the above. Okay, I'll move on here now to the next stage here where we set the scenarios. So we're just going to run through a scenario where these are some of these are actually live scenarios we have with our customer base.
Okay.
So I'll pass it on
Thanks
to
for that,
Tom
Sean.
here, who's going to go through this. Thanks, Tom.
That's great. Thank you. So yeah, as Sean said, we've got a couple of scenarios here just to show you what other people are doing and how they're working, and just some of the challenges that they're facing when they are out in industry, delivering projects, etc. So for this first scenario, this is based on a customer that is in the UK. Sorry, Sean, if you just press forward on the slide. So this is based on a customer that based in the UK. And over time, through the team growing and through acquisitions, they started to store data on other servers right across the globe. As you can see here, there's different server points. So a lot of them, again, America, right the way through to South Africa, etc., etc. But again, the key thing here is around, again, they've got these different servers, but for this company in particular, there were sort of two key aspects that they needed to do with this. So one of them was that they worked on a combination of Autodesk BIM 360 and Autodesk Construction Cloud. Ideally for them, they wanted to be on the latest platform and the latest technology. So what they wanted to do was, firstly, any projects that were on BIM 360, they wanted to move over to Autodesk Construction Cloud. And another point is shown in this diagram here. They wanted to find a way to work more collaboratively, and for basically any service, such as if it is on the US or in Australia, they wanted to move that to their main server, which was the EU. So they wanted to come up with ways to see how this could be done, again, to reduce the need to do that manually, effectively. So this customer knew that they were going to face issues and challenges. And as Sean said before, one key aspect was to do with security standards, such as ISO 27001, and also compliance to likes of GDPR regulations. Other aspects were the likes of file migration. So for them, they didn't want to just pass this over to the likes of external company where they're just do the migration for them. They wanted to understand that process. They wanted an easy solution that they could understand, but also, again, could follow them steps. And that links into sort of the versioning management as well. So the ability to move the likes of files and folders on BIM 360 currently, move them over to ACC, but also have all that historic data and the versions come across with that, so they have that full record. And a key point for them was also to do with transferring of reports, and that is essentially sort of like your data log, so you can track what has been moved at what point, so they have that full record there, and again, they could refer back to that. So with these considerations in place, they came to Symetri to look at possible solutions out in the industry and what could be possibly implemented, again, to work as efficient as possible, but also to make sure they could do this securely. And this is when Symetri recommended a solution that is called Navigate Nebula. And the reason why Symetri suggested this solution was down to the following points. With the need of needing to move data, again, from the US or Australia to the EU, Navigate Nebula could help in this aspect. And the ability of being able to do this, but also vice versa, meant it could be seamlessly done, moving that data from one of the servers to another with no issues at all. The second point there, to do with BIM 360 to ACC. Again, they had the mixture at the moment. They wanted to move that all to ACC. Nebula had that capability to do that. Files and folders with the versions of the files. The ability to move files and folders from a specific location with the versions to another. It had the ability, again, to do that, and it ticked that box. And finally, reporting on completion. Had the ability to, when this all got moved across, again, if it was from server to server or BIM 360 to ACC into the cloud platforms, it had the ability to do that. And the results of this were it successfully managed to migrate files and folders, including the versions, to the EU server, exactly what they wanted, so they could have more control over the likes of the data and also licenses. As an example, they were able to move from BIM 360 to ACC, because that's at the moment where the development is now going to be focused going forward from an Autodesk perspective. something they didn't consider, available time. When they were talking about certain folders, they didn't realize that if they were to do this manually or another approach, it could have took days for some folders. And they realized with a solution like this, it could take minutes, again, saving the need for someone to sit there and manually move this data, which again brings in human error. And the final point, they were able to have that report on the transfers through email and CSV. So again, they had that log, they could go back to that at a later point in time and be confident that the data was moved across securely as possible. Okay, so before we go on to scenario 2, there's another poll here. And what this is asking is basically, out of the following listed management tasks, do you currently struggle with any of them listed?
We're also seeing this on a good few of our customers' accounts where they're trying to manage and see how their members, they're trying to update their roles, more or less to apply some standardization across their entire member database.
Okay, thanks for that, Sean. I'll pass this over to you for scenario 2, if that's okay.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Tom. So scenario 2 is kind of working in tandem with scenario 1, where we've utilized the likes of Nebula to transfer the files, folders, and even versions as well across. So what we have here is, to supplement that with Cloud Manager, is we use the Cloud Manager as part of our Navigate and OwnTech portfolio, is where we can add another layer of customization and support for this. So what we're seeing as well is that, separate to moving cloud to cloud, BIM 360 to ACC, some companies might have old local servers that are dated, they're being utilized to their limit. They have legacy projects that they want to have access to, and they want to use the cloud for that. They also are coming across issues where the file path length is throwing up errors when they're using the desktop connector, which is an Autodesk solution. That can help, but it does take time to upload it across. We also see that the costs of the servers are starting to increase between both hardware and resourcing from your IT manager or support team. They also need to see how they can get report on the progress of these uploads. So with the use of Navigate Cloud Manager, which is another Symetri tech solution, you can offset all those issues and upload some of its features. You can upload from a local premise, that's a local server, up into ACC or BIM 360. It ignores the file path length limit, so you know that you have your files uploaded, and at the end of your upload, it will report and provide you with a log of what has been uploaded. In some cases, the executable files might be excluded from the report and the upload because it's a restriction on the cloud that executables are not allowed up there as part of their security measures. So to move on from where Tom was talking about, you've transitioned across all of your files and folders, your versions. Next step is, how do I manage my members? So I have my members brought across in Excel. With Navigate Cloud Manager, you have the ability to select all of your projects that you have across in your destination hub. You can then select all of your members and in turn then upload their roles and update their roles all in the one sequence, that would probably take days, if not weeks. You can get it done and updated within minutes. So this is one of the massive key features of Navigate Cloud Manager. Regarding the upload, just to reiterate it again, with the unlimited storage of ACC, we have customers who might have large scan data and they want to upload them across. by utilizing the unlimited storage of ACC, they can do that also. To recap on that, by utilizing and seeing the benefits of using Cloud Manager and the upload process, they don't need a local server. They've ignored the file path links, the 256 character limit. They're using the desktop connector for what it was designed for, rather than uploading files and folders. And you also can upload gigabytes at once. You're not having to wait for it to be processed. This thing will upload it and again provide you with a log and a report to show that you're meeting your IT standards. In the event that you're ever asked, is there a report on this upload process, you have that saved within the folder. As I mentioned, you also have additional features to Navigate Cloud Manager. You have the ability to create multiple projects on the system. You can have synchronizing files and folders. So separate to the files upload, you can synchronize jobs and files and folders that can save it from local to cloud instance. I'm just showing as well that you have your members and bulk management. You also can automate tasks as well. So if you wanted to have that every morning, I log on to my cloud or my local instance, that I have the latest IFC export, DWG export, or CAD or PDF export of my model that's in ACC in that folder. It will automate that overnight. And you also have the ability to publish Revit Cloud work sharing models as well. So by the benefits of having both Nebula from cloud to cloud and Cloud Manager is, by default, there's no other solution out there that can do BIM 360 to ACC, ACC to BIM 360 between different servers as well. It's a massive time-saving solution. It frees up the amount of time from a manager or the cloud administrator to focus on key areas of their job, rather than having to manually upload these, which in turn will retain staff, which is a massive issue in the industry as well. You can start to do some scheduling and automation as well. And through the reassurance through reporting, you're guaranteed that whatever file is missing, through it potentially being corrupt in the source file, that it will be flagged in the upload process, rather than having to be told by a user later on that every file that they have uploaded is corrupt. You know that everything has gone through a reporting and validation process. And these are Symetri technology that we develop. It's on constant support from our team, and also it's been constantly developed. It's been developed by our customers as well, who are providing feedback back to the development team through the account managers and Symetri team. So before we move on to scenario 3, it's just one more poll there before we finish up. So this is more related to data security, as in, are you within your industry, are you kind of a bit apprehensive about the cloud? Do you like to have backups? Are you being questioned about recovery time objectives in the event that the cloud instance ever goes down? And are you being driven by GDPR compliance? I'll give it a couple of seconds. What we do, if anyone has any questions, I see them coming in, we can address them at the end. So if you want to ask questions, put them into the questions part of the interface, and we will answer them at the end. So what we do is we move on to scenario 3. So this is where Archive Hub is. We've kind of introduced Archive Hub to our customers. Again, it has the archiving issues, reporting, desktop connector. We've constantly been asked about legacy project access. So how can we reassure customers that in the event of Amazon Web Services from both BIM 360 or ACC, if that ever goes down, where do we rely on, and where can we actively access archived information, be it files and folders, issues, attachments, checklists, and the likes? With the use of Archive Hub, it's more or less a offline ACC or BIM 360 interface. It has, as I said, it creates an offline version of it has its own bespoke viewer that is provided for access. It can be secure in a cloud, so it can be archived from the Amazon Web Service interface from BIM 360 and ACC to an Azure server. So if anything happens in AWS, you know that you have a replica of it in Azure. It can back up contents like project files, your metadata, which is a massive requirement, and also the attachments that are attached to your files, your checklists, and the likes. So what I want to do now is introduce Bas, who is the information and data manager for Lomans, just to kind of give a background to his usage of Archive Hub and the benefits he's seeing already. Hi, Bas.
Oh, good day. All right. Well, my name is Bas Spaan, information manager at Lomans. You see a little portrait of some people that works with us. Lomans is an installation company. One slide further, Sean. Thank you. Full service installer, 2 locations in the Netherlands, around 105 years work experience, and around 400 employees. What we do is all the technical installation within a building we provide. So we engineer, we build and maintain those installations. And we do that on electrical, smart building, mechanical, and safety and security. Our markets where what buildings we make is in the sectors of healthcare, schools, offices, and commercial buildings, where the most of them are offices at the moment. Well, and my role, I'm information manager. My goal is to build a bridge between IT and operations. So the smart ones that knows IT that are in my team, but we have also much smart people in the engineering sector, for example, and to look at what they want and the problems we can solve with IT. There, I'm going into place. Last few years from 2019, we are implementing ACC in the projects and maintenance. And from the beginning, we had with a vision and strategy that in the future, all our project data, besides everything that is placed in the ERP system, must come out of ACC. And we're going to talk about the step further next to this. And one of my things is increasing the use of AI within Lomans from a very practical standard. Well, it's a nice last slide in Dutch for the ones that can read it. We are Lomans, and we got it together, and we're there for each other. In Dutch we say, wij zijn Lomans, goed voor elkaar.
Thank you, Bas. So we're just going to just more or less have a chat there just to see and get an understanding as to your reasoning for working and investigating Archive Hub.
Yes.
So what was your reasoning for investigating an archiving solution, and what challenges?
Well, what I said. Yeah, well, what I said in 2019, we made a choice to implement AECO as a whole, knowing that at that moment it was a startup within AECO, within Autodesk. BIM 360 was better at the moment, but in the future we want to place all our project data within AECO. So you are going to build all the processes around the platform. Well, and if you do that, and the more you do that, it's a long way in implementation, but the risk gets, the risk gets higher, the impact gets higher, that when, you said it before, if Autodesk goes down sometimes, or that your data is gone, or you can't access the data. And if you have all the project data within the platform, well, there's a risk you want to get on top of. Yeah. So that was the main reason. Well, when I think my journey started 3 years ago, just looking at what is there in the around me that can solve that problem, besides making our own solution. And when I Googled it, just the old-fashioned way, you saw some solutions, but they were mainly on just documents. And documents is a part, but you said it before, Sean, the metadata is a very large part of that. And the more you use the platform, the more metadata you make. And well, when something happens, you want to have that as a backup. Within the company, or on another server, or just to be sure that you can access that data, and I can sleep well at night.
And it's something you could hand over to an end client as a record or a handover or feature in a way.
Sorry, again?
It would be something you could pass on to another customer as a way of.
Yeah, for sure. So. Within that journey, I came in contact with Archive Hub, and a plus was the metadata you can archive, but then you are thinking further ahead, and then you think also the metadata can be a very wealth for our clients. So if we do a handover to a client, you can also provide that metadata, even when we are not doing the maintain phase.
Yeah. And why was Archive Hub the chosen offering, and how did you come across it?
Well, I just Googled a solution to back up data from AECO or BIM 360 was at the moment. You got more hits on that. And what I said, there were more solutions, but they were more focused on just documents. And documents is a part, but the rest of the metadata is not less important.
So a question for me, Bas, is what benefit or impact has it had on your business by implementing Archive Hub?
Well, the impact is not yet big because we didn't have a disaster yet. So that's a plus.
That's a good thing.
But so let's hope that it won't be there. But no, the impact is that I sleep better, even when there is a hiccup in within AECO, what not happens very lot, but that's a plus. So it's comforting that we have a backup and we can access the metadata and the documents. But if you look further, there was a very big question from within the implementation of AECO from people in our company that say, there is sometimes I want to access the data, but I don't have access to the project. To give a little context, we come from a situation that everyone in the company has access to all the project data. So from a security perspective, that's not really good. That is solved within ACC, the authentication per folder or per project. But there were a lot of people within that implementation that said, well, I know I'm doing a project now, I have access, but I did something smart, or we did something smart in that project at that time. And if I can't access it, there's a process that needs to provide it. So I need to know who is in the project. Is it with someone in IT, or is it maintain? Then I need to get access. I need to mail them. And well, that was a really logical question they asked. And by working with Archive Hub, we solved that solution because we can give them read-only rights on the projects, and they can just look at, download the document that they want to have, but cannot change anything. And that was the solution for that problem.
Well, super. I think one final question I've got is, again, there's organisations out there at the moment, you said it yourself, sort of, again, data is a key part to everyone's business, and especially when it comes to having a disaster recovery approach, there's a lot to consider with this. So I don't know if you've got some sort of considerations you could tell people here today, sort of what you thought about when you were going through this process, and the key, well, really, yeah, the key consideration, should we say?
Yeah, well, the key consideration was purely risk. I asked our management that, in the future, what if the data on ACC is not accessible for a day? What did it cost us? What should it cost? What would it cost us? And I won't give the numbers, but it was a big amount of money we lose because of the risk that is there. Then you can make a simple calculation on, if we be sure of that risk, that we can get over the impact of the risk by using a technology. Then the calculation, the return of this investment for the long term is made. So that was the key thing to look at this solution, and how it came to Archive Hub in Symetri.
Super. Thank you for that, Bas. Very insightful.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you. I think we'll have a few questions, no doubt, towards the end on this. Yeah.
Yeah, superb. So I think for me now, Sean, if I just recap this and just sort of what we've been through today on this webinar. So for me, again, the key messaging that I brought up was around sort of that migrating, managing and archiving of data. And hopefully you've seen today, again, from a very quick run through, that the scenario shown, there are solutions in place to help depending on what problems you're dealing with, especially when it comes around the data side. And if that is from the likes of, your server to server considerations through Nebula, or member management and project management when it comes to setting that up through Cloud Manager, or as Bas experienced through Archive Hub and having that backup platform there that helped you, and again, just made you take risk off the company through having a disaster recovery solution in place.
Yeah. And even that local to ACC upload as well is a massive feature that we're getting requested a lot by customers. And even with Archive Hub, having scheduled backups that every week, as you said, Tom, you have an instance of your BIM 360 or ACC on a local or an Azure location. Thanks.
Superb. Yeah. So I think really just to wrap this up then. So On the screen now, there's a QR code. So please feel free to scan that if you wish to have a conversation with anyone from the Symetri team. And again, that can just be done by going to the camera, hovering that over, and then clicking on the link, and that'll take you to a form you can fill out. And we can, again, if you've got any questions in more detail you need to discuss with one of us, please go through this approach and we can, of course, discuss that with you.
Yeah, we can go into a more deeper dive into the product just to show its benefits. And there are some excellent benefits that will suit any organization.
Yeah, and I think the other thing I wanted to say on the next slide, Sean, was that we are hosting a event in London on the 9th of April called the BIM Summit. So if you are available and wish to come and speak to us face-to-face, please feel free to register. And again, we can have them conversations. We'll have technical consultants in the room, have them discussions. And of course, we can go over that. Anything, if it's data or even to do with project delivery, anything along them lines, we can come and have a discussion.
Yeah. Even to, if we go back to our partnerings and offerings that we can offer our customers, like this is just a tip of what we can offer. So we move on to the Q&As.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So a few I'm checking here.
Nice. Hello, everyone. Thank you for participating in our webinar today. My name is Stephen, and I've been keeping track on all the questions that have been coming in, both on our chat and by email. So I'm going to invite Bas, Tom, and Sean. I think we've got questions in that are relevant to all of you. So I'm going to take a selection of them. I'm going to might put some of them to the floor as well. So we're going to let's get started and let's get straight into it. Sean, I think the first question is for you. We've got a question on ISO standards. So that question is, it says, I've been tasked to migrate an Azure server as a disaster recovery item to meet our ISO standards. What solution would you recommend, Sean?
To an Azure server.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Archive Hub there is the perfect platform for that, and it will take files, folders, companies, members, even all the metadata, which Bas was reiterating a lot, because it is a key question that's been asked.
Okay, thanks, Sean. We've got a question here now just coming about Nebula. So I think, Tom, this question is for you. So it's a short question. Are there sizes or folder limitations to Nebula?
So short answer is no. With Nebula, again, it's all down to depending on what you need to do and what you need to move in terms of the data size. But in short answer, no. Any amount of data can be moved from any server location or from one platform to another. So there's no limitation on that.
Okay. And Bas, we've got a question here for you as well. It says, what advice would you give to a company in similar size to Lomans starting out in their data archiving journey?
Well, at the beginning, look at where your data is stored. And if that location is where you want it to be, and then make the choice, like we did the calculation. Well, if the data is gone, or well, let's say not accessible for a some of time, make a calculation with the management team or the people that are responsible to look at, well, if it is it for us a positive investing to look at the solution like this. Because I think that is the most common way to look at this as a backup or an archive solution. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Bas.